See, I'll give you a brief about what we do. We are country's second largest hazardous waste management company, country's largest biomedical waste management company. In the mining front, as in the uranium, we only do the only underground mining. So when we say underground, we are country's largest in the underground mining, metal mines. So with least damage, so is in coal, we are in the top 3 in the country. So what we are actually looking at is sustainability. Now on the specifically related to the Nagpur, I still remember the first project of the sewage treated water when it was to be done in Nagpur. We were given the presentation and we were asked that they wanted a Nagpur company to do it. So it was a Bhandewadi project, which was the country's first showcase project, in which sewage water is not only treated, but is also sold to the super thermal power station. And I can tell you, if you go over there, I have drank that sewage water. It is of potable quality. So that was the country's first showcase project which we did. So city has done that. Yes, there is a lot of catching up still to do on the, I will say, the pipeline sewage water connectivity and the country's old pipelines which are getting, which are yet to get differentiated from the, but I can tell you that was country's first project. In addition to that, the city's infrastructure, if we actually see, the green cover which we provide to the city, and Nagpur is not a Nagpur city alone, it is more or less synonymous with Vidarbha. So when we say tiger tourism, that is also there. So on a sustainability, I feel that there is a lot to do. However, my real worry comes from the transition. When I say transition, that means the largest tax collections and the industries in the entire Vidarbha is from thermal power plant, coal mining, cement plants, and secondary steel plants. These 4 contribute almost 70% of the entire Vidarbha's GDP. Entire Vidarbha's GDP, when I say, that means last year we had almost 15,000 crore of GST collection, and out of that almost 11,000 crore was only from these 4 industries. All these 4 industries form a part of COP28 agreement. Now, in this generational shift, if this COP, we see how it happens, Nagpur has to actually bring in many changes in a sustainability, because we have conducive weather to go in for renewable power. And if the thermal power plants actually are taken off the hook, then and if the mining also goes off fossil fuel, then I think in Vidarbha, on the sustainability name, Vidarbha's GDP will be reduced to 30 or 40% of what it is today.
Just a follow-on question to Anandji. Why solar parks like Rajasthan is, done tremendous amount of work. Tamil Nadu has done tremendous amount of work. Why has it not happened in Vidarbha with so much of sunshine?
See, actually we have in this part of the country, we have very fragmented landowners. And dealing with these fragmented landowners has been a real issue, how to deal with it. And that is why even the agriculturists in this part of the area have not really flourished. So fragmented, and in addition to that, unless and until we have a sort of always faced an issue of too much of either, I should not say NGOs trying to get them away, but see, when we say solar park, we also need dry land. So do we have dry land, fragmented land? So these are the issues which are typically with Vidarbha. I think in Yavatmal, a 600-acre land they have already taken, but this 600 acre is not enough. We need at least 60,000 acres right now over there, so that we can phase out the thermal power plants of Vidarbha and bring in this. Please.
So just a point I wanted to add from the government of Maharashtra's perspective. Last year, a policy was released. The entire agriculture electricity requirement, out of that 50%, the policy has decided it will be done through solar power. And for that, in each district, we have created a land bank of government land. And on those lands, the solar parks are coming up. So that policy is in place. So maybe 5 years down the line, we can proudly say that 50% of agricultural electricity will be generated through solar power.
Vaibhavji, you want to add something in this perspective?
No, I think absolutely, as both of them said, but probably from the broader sustainability perspective, so from a purely from the policy perspective, whether it is solar or any sustainable renewable source, what is more important is the solutions will have to be region specific. As Anandji said, Vidarbha is contributing hugely through the thermal power. Now, how do we do that, manage that transition? So, for example, in the thermal plants, 7% biomass briquettes and pellets are being added. Now, how do we expand that biomass base to the thermal transition so that we reduce the carbon footprint, but at the same time, it adds value to the entire economic value chain of the region. Because broadly, this region is an agriculture-based region. And ultimate prosperity of the region will come if we are ultimately able to create value for every individual. See, ultimately per capita income of every individual living in the region. And the making agriculture more viable, creating those business opportunities for people. So for example, biomass could be a very good solution for this region. So agriculture produce, agriculture waste can be converted into pellets and then it can go to the thermal usage or converting it to a fuel, any form of fuel. So there are a number of technologies and experiments happening globally in India, in this region. So the point I'm trying to make is the region will have to look at a sustainable development plan and probably as look at
Mr. Prithviraj suggested,
sustainable
the government will also have to kind of create a roadmap for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, long-term, short-term roadmap for a very smooth transition to this more sustainable development model. So I think, but again, as I said, because this region has developed its infrastructure ahead of its time, it is better placed to probably, I'm repeating what I said, but it is better placed to do this planning and try to take that entire development through a sustainable route, which probably cities like Mumbai or Bangalore or Delhi will have very difficult. For example, Delhi, today the contribution of vehicular pollution is more than 17-18%. And how do you now bring that
pollution down to some, even by 5% or 2%? And it's a huge challenge with cities like Bangalore or Delhi or Mumbai are contributing. For example, the biggest advantage we feel when we come down from Delhi and stay in a campus is the morning walk, because you get the freshest air that is possible anywhere in the country. So, those kind of advantage.
So bigger challenge probably for the policymakers and to all the thought leaders is to ensure that those advantage of these regions are not eroded in the course of development, but at the same time, sustainability could be our opportunity instead of challenge to become a growth driver for the economy. So I think this region is better placed to use sustainability as a growth driver. When I say this, Nagpur has done it, as he spoke about water being recycled and selling it to the thermal plants. So recycle, reuse, reduce. Or for that matter, Nagpur has been the first city where Ola brought in their 100% electric taxi fleet. Or Nagpur has been a city which has produced gas from the sewage and the buses are being run on those. So I think there are a number of experiments that has happened in this city. So can we, for example, replicate and scale up those experiences? Or for that matter, metro is ahead of any of the cities in Maharashtra. And 50% of the power required for metro is generated through a solar-based, rooftop which they have done on their stations and buildings. So I think those kind of experiments are very, forward-looking experience which can drive this growth for the region and can contribute immensely and become a kind of a development model for the country as well.
My next question is to Prithviraj ji. When we talk about smart city, what are the technologies we are talking about? And as Vaibhav ji was pointing out, at the end of the day, it has to be citizen-centric. So how you are scoping this citizen-centric perspective?
So all the solutions that we are trying to implement through our Smart City Corporation basically is to improve the quality of life of citizens.
Now there are a lot of solutions that we have implemented. Just to give an example, like we have installed some environment sensors in different places around the city. And the data is coming to our command and control center. Now this data format, we are trying to keep it open. So there will be some standard APIs which are available to everyone. So they can directly use the APIs and get access to the data. So the policy is open data policy. So any technological solution that we implement in the through our company, we want the citizens to make use of those solutions, and it will also have a spillover effect, because if you look at the example of New York or Berlin, so they have a very interesting open data policy around which they focus on the spillover effects in terms of economic advantage also, like people can make use of these APIs and create new solutions, new apps. For example, something can look at the environment sensor and it says that do not take this route. It is a polluted route. You should take the other route. So just an example. So our basic model is to have an open data policy, and using these APIs, people can use it. Technology, see, it is what technology we use. It is again, we're trying to provide the service. So focus is on the service rather than on the technology. There is a surveillance system in place right now. We have around 3,000 cameras installed in various points around the Nagpur city, and it is all maintained through a command and control center. We are using AI in that to identify issues like there are cattle on the road, there are open manholes on the road, there is some garbage lying near the road. So using this AI and image recognition.
We are also helping provide the corporation with better services. So we can tell them, see, on this road you will find a lot of cattle are there which are obstructing the traffic flow. So your animal department should go there and take care of those things. Or your solid waste management department has not looked at this street because there is a lot of garbage lying on that street. Or if some traffic violations are there, we'll tell the traffic police department, you need to put a traffic constable on that particular chalk. So a lot of solutions are there, but the idea, and this I would want to actually promote in all the forums, that we are trying to use open data policy. We invite citizens to come and make use of it. So we are also going into social indicators, something which is generally missed out when people discuss smart city. It is mainly infrastructure oriented, but no one talks about health or education. So we are in the process of all the NMC schools. We are trying to do the assessment, have some top educators interact with the students through our command control center, monitor the health parameters of the population. When is the vaccination due? We can direct the health worker that this child's vaccination is due this week, so you plan it accordingly. So those are other things also which we are keeping, and again that will also be shared with the people. So any assessment of students we do, like ASAR report or PISA report or those kind of reports, so we'll share it with the public. So to answer your question in short, yes, there are a lot of technologies. We are trying to build an open data policy, and we want citizens to make use of this in order to improve their life and in order to also have some kind of economic spillover in the society.
Thanks, Prithviraj, for the insight. Anandji, I've got my next question for you. That is, you are doing business in which is leaving a lot of footprints, not just in terms of terra firma, land, It is also in terms of project-affected families, right? So there is this question of R&R, resettlement, rehabilitation. So how you are engaging with stakeholders, in and around Vidarbha when you are doing your projects?
Actually, it's a difficult question for me because Vidarbha contributes only, I think, somewhere around 0.4% of my top line. So I don't have much experience of R&R in Vidarbha, but overall, I can tell you R&R is more or less wherever our projects are is an issue, and is definitely going to be an issue. You cannot ask someone who's been living over there, who is getting affected, who is out over there. And R&R, the major issue and the major things which we face is wherever the people are getting rehabilitated, the places where where they are supposed to be rehabilitated are not complete in all respect. So that is why they have the real grudge within them that you have already ousted us from there, and the places you are sending us is not right. So that's it. Then secondly, another issue which PAP people which we are facing is that in one of the uranium projects which we are doing, the PAP people were asked to were given employment, and we were asked that you will have to take these many people on your roll. Now imagine I have an underground mine which is to be done, and I have 300 farmers to be put every day inside the mine. These people are used to wearing chappals, used to working in sun, and I am asked to put them to put all the boots, all the safety gears, and go inside the mine. You will be surprised to note at the end of the fourth year, we were paying them what they wanted, but we were asking them not to go inside because they were a huge safety risk. So I think every region, everywhere it will have to be, will have to look towards inward, to find out a R&R policy which will be unique to its own project, not only the own city, but to own project.
Thank you. Vaibhavji, some perspectives on stakeholder engagement in central India as compared to rest of India?
As Anandji has said, for any projects, whether it is infrastructure or those kind of projects, or to put it in other words, there has always been a kind of a debate and a resistance going on the development that happening and the people involved, and primarily the landowners whose land is being used for development. But I think in last 7-8 years, a few things have improved drastically across the states. I am saying not only in Vidarbha, but across the states all over India, because of the realistic and practical approach from the policymaker government, respective state governments and the central government. See, we can't have a development and people participating in that development unless we make them part of the growth story.
So that development has to be their also part of growth story and their aspirational growth story. And therefore, the land compensation that is being given these days is really practical and very handsome. Plus, there has been enough efforts being made to ensure that they are equipped to get benefited from the development that is going to happen. And I think there precisely institute like IIM and the educational institutes and the social institutes and the social organizations will have to play a very important role in ensuring that the advantages of the growth are conveyed to the stakeholders, and stakeholders are equipped if required through skilling. So whether it is question of skilling the people and make them bring them up to the level so that they get benefited by getting employed or become some kind of vendors, service supporters, operators, or any of those business value chain they can become part of. So institute like, for example, IIM will have to play that kind of role. So for example, the INFED department here will have to work with, for example, land affected farmers and help them create products, services, skills, through incubation centers or innovation labs to bring them up to date with the necessary skills or training or orientations, so that there is no tussle between development and the stakeholders, because ultimately they have to be part of that growth story. So that's, I think, very important, and fortunately in last 7, 8, 10 years, more in last 10 years after 2013 Land Acquisition Act. It's happening, and it's happening very fast. And therefore, we are seeing that whether it is for the infrastructure projects or the industrial development, land acquisition has been quite smoother part of the whole process. Otherwise, that has been the biggest bottleneck of any infrastructure projects not completing on time. You know, I know, in fact, I just came from Butibori before this session, and I remember a railway overbridge. It took 17 years for that bridge to be built. And everybody has suffered in this city, you know, for that bridge. And was land acquisition and, you know, small issues were the biggest challenge. So fortunately, those kind of things are getting noticed by the concerned authorities. They have been practical enough. So I think that approach is very much required. And precisely, you know, the tier 2 cities give them better advantage for the simple reason that the administration is not as much layered as probably cities like Delhi, Bangalore. And I'm sure my co-panelist Prithviraj will be better positioned to comment on that. But leaner the administration and lesser the layers, the effectiveness of the growth and the overall engagement with the stakeholders is much effective and much better.
Thank you. One thing is that a lot of IT companies have come to Nagpur. A lot of R&D centers are being set up, you know, global R&D centers are being set up, but they are mostly set up in cities like Bangalore or Hyderabad or in NCR region. So how can, you know, these tier 2 cities bring in the best talent people, you know, living in these tier 2 cities, that, you know, people from tier 1 cities, they are interested to come and live here because there is sheer opportunity in terms of job growth.
I don't think I am qualified enough. Maybe Anandji can answer on it. But few things, like you need to have good educational institutions, you need to have good livable city in that area, and of course how is the environment. So these are the small things, but maybe he can give a detailed answer on why service sector is not picking up in Nagpur.
Why Nagpur? What it will take for Nagpur to become an R&D destination?
I'll just share my journey. From my class, I think we are a class of 65. Only 3 students are now in Nagpur. The entire Janta is out of Nagpur because opportunities were not there. We have to also look at the opportunities. And when I say opportunities, how many big industries are there? When we say aspirations, for a start, it's good to start at a lower level or a mid-level where we are. But when you go there above, are there any opportunities in this city? At our time, there were very less. Similarly, when I see the IT centers which are coming up here, they are, the IT centers, in my view, are more or like here are coming with a BPO mindset or somewhere what they are, you know, what they want to do a clerical job. Not a single high-end IT hub has come in this city and no one has anchored it. You need someone, an anchor like Narayan Murthy, maybe because he was from Bangalore, he founded it in Bangalore. Maybe someone like, because he's from Nagpur, he needs to found it in Nagpur, and then the entire ecosystem is created in and around it. Because development cannot happen on a standalone basis. The entire ecosystem has to be created. Secondly, if you will actually see, how many of you, even IIM students, are actually absorbed in Nagpur? That's another question which we need to see, because the lack of opportunities is definitely there, but
Let me tell you, the scene has changed. Dramatically, the scene is changing. Right now, the wealth creators in the city are now looking forward to the development of land
rather than plotting of the land. So this scene is definitely changing. And we also have to give that Nagpur has had its share of good institutes only in last 10 years. So we have to give it enough time. We also, these guys whom I am talking about, even if I say in Mihan, they has given an employment to almost 1,25,000 people from outside the city. They have come in. allow them to settle in Nagpur, let them like Nagpur. And when they themselves want to do something in Nagpur, these things will come up. So in my view, Nagpur has started just its journey. It's the other places it might have started long back, but in my view, Nagpur, the journey has just started.
Yeah, Vaibhavji.
I'll just add 2 points. As you said, and as both of my co-panelists have said, there has been challenges, but last 10 years, Nagpur has seen a phenomenal transformation, if I may say. Say, for example, today Nagpur has India's, world's biggest high energy materials plant, manufacturing plant. And that's only in Nagpur, nowhere in the world. And the company has expanded to 18 countries with probably 8 global manufacturing. So it has started kind of coming up the age. For example, the area where we are sitting, Mihan, has seen in last 10 years at least 3-4 large IT companies setting up their campuses. And I'm sure they are in the early stage of setting up of a campuses, and they're growing, and probably as Anand Bhai has said, they are doing a very initial kind of work, not a very high value probably, if I may say, work. But it has started setting up a campus and started looking at Nagpur as the opportunity. I think that's the beginning. Similarly, for example, India's biggest aerospace activities started happening in India. So, for example, Reliance Dassault plant is in Mihan, and they are looking forward for producing a lot of components for, the aircraft which India has brought, fighter aircraft jets which India has brought from France, Dassault aircraft. So, I think a lot of those kind of, MRS center is being coming here. For example, logistic is becoming another area of growth drivers for Nagpur, and after particularly the change into the GST regime and other things, the spoken hub model, Nagpur is becoming a major center for logistics. So I think there are enough driving points which we can look at, and as everybody has said, in fact, a very, very positive experience I'll suggest. Yesterday evening we had a CEO dinner here, and I was interacting with few people, and two fellows I have interacted. They are from this region, IT engineering background, and they have come back to this region and decided not to live. One has come back from US, and one was, I think, in Bangalore or something. They have come back to here only for the reason that post-COVID, they thought that I have a better lifestyle and better living experience here than probably any of the place. So I think we will have to look at when we look at development and the growth which Nagpur can drive, we can't just look at, expanding from 100 industry to 5,000 industry. Probably that's need not to be always the growth and driving point. What is more important with the change in the technology and the, if I may say, the taboo of working from home and other things that have changed drastically post-COVID. So I think those opportunities are even higher. But as Nagpur has, for example, range of good quality of education institutions. For example, National Environment and Engineering Research Institute is one of the topmost engineering and environment institute in the country. Or for example, India's only fire institute is in Nagpur. So, there are so many educational system is so robust in this region. Or for example, Nagpur's Dharampet and that area, I think Bardi and Dharampet area, has a record of having highest per square kilometer doctors. That is something which is so unique. You have great amount of health infrastructure, which is very affordable, very efficient. You have a great amount of educational infrastructure, good quality schools, good quality of higher educations, institute like IIM, institute like AIMS, institute like National Law University, institute like National Defense Academy on Defense Production. So there are n number of such things that are coming up. So I think the opportunities are enough, and as they say, we have a choice to grab those opportunities and create value out of it, or we can just lose those opportunities. But I think this region is better placed to use those opportunities and become a growth driver. And I'll not be surprised that if Nagpur in say 15 years, 20 years time could be probably 10-15% contributor of India's GDP. So I don't think it's not doable, but it's all jigsaw puzzle putting together and be driving in that direction. I think that is more important.
Okay. Now let us open to the floor. Yeah, questions?
Good evening, sir. My name is Lakshman Potbare. Anand sir, with all humility, I just want to mention that Persistent for last 20 years has been doing work in the product development. 8 to 10 years before, when Satyameva Jayate was aired on the TV, we did analytics for Satyameva Jayate real time while the show was airing on the television. And we have been doing all sorts of product development, to technology services in all the areas, all the cutting edge technology we have been doing. So I just want to mention that to you, sir, with humility. My question is to Prithviraj, sir. Prithviraj, sir, with the concept of smart city, right? The question is, are we also talking about smart villages? And I will give you the context of the question. With the decentralized solar power, current solar power is centralized, gets generated, comes to a grid, from the grid gets distributed, right? In the Western world, people have gone to a stage where they are able to generate decentralized solar power at the source, right? With that kind of solar energy creation, number one. Number two, with the technology advent, in terms of post-COVID, during the COVID, we have seen that technology immensely has improved, right? Earlier, people were coming to cities because of infrastructure, because of electricity, because of education, and probably healthcare as well. Now, if we take these things to the villages, do we need people to come to the cities, or we can reverse the trend? Can Nagpur be first of that kind? Question to you, sir.
Okay. So as far as government is concerned, when the smart city mission was started, they have selected 100 cities in the country. And it's the last year now, March 24, it's going to end. The second phase will be for some tier 2 cities. Right now, government is not looking at extending similar services to village level. Okay, number one. But if you see the kind of projects now many villages are taking up, so on their own, many people are doing small scale STP plants in the villages, small scale solid waste management solutions in the villages. So they are picking up, and in this regard, smart city can guide them. So it's not part of the policy, but yes, what you suggested can be done in the sense that we can take up mentorship of, let's say, Nagpur ke aspas 10-15 villages, whatever villages in Nagpur district. They can be linked up with Nagpur Smart City Corporation, and we can guide them in providing some kind of solution at low cost, whatever is possible. To the other question, when you say, ki, will urbanization stop and people will do the economic activities from the villages, I would differ. I don't think in the near future that's going to happen. Economic activities will be driven by cities. There is no alternative. And if you look at the rate of urbanization, it has only increased, not just in India, in the Western countries, in the developed economies also. So where they had this solution long back. So personally, I don't think that flow is going to stop. Yes, but lot of services may be provided through the technology at the village level. But is that going to stop the urbanization? My opinion is no, it will not happen.
Okay. Any more questions? On the back.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Rajat Shah. So my question is to all of you. So we have in Gujarat, Gift City developing and Dholera developing. It's a complete greenfield smart city project. And Nagpur is already existing city which is trying to be a smart city. So how much gap is it, and how can there be an equality, or Dholera, whatever it comes up to be, will Nagpur be able to match its level, or there will be a lot of gap among both the cities, the kind of smart cities they will become in future?
Shall I first answer? So see, Nagpur is a brownfield project. The city was there and we are trying to introduce those things. Dholera and Gift City, what you mentioned, that's a greenfield project. So there are always advantages to greenfield projects in the sense that the scale of implementation is faster in greenfield projects, while that scale is little less here. So just to give you an example,
In the East Nagpur area, we are doing what is known as area-based development projects. So there are a lot of unauthorized societies, colonies there. We are trying to provide some kind of regularization there. So it's difficult because people have already constructed their houses, people are continuing their economic activities in those areas. At the same time, if you look at Gift, so it was completely agricultural land, there's nothing there. So planning is much easier and faster. But again, see, there are different objectives. So smart city is not one definition. What does Gift want? Gift wants to become the economic powerhouse of the country. It wants to be the financial capital of the country. Nagpur mein, are we looking at that? Probably not. We are looking at something different. If you talk about, let's say, Berlin, so there is a very simple example मैं आपको just देना चाहता हूँ. In Berlin, maybe all of you can listen. India में, is there any city where at the traffic junction, if the light is green for pedestrian, will you let your 6-year-old child to cross the road on its own, on his own, without holding your hand? So this is known as the Berlin experiment. In Berlin, it is done. People are so confident, people trust each other. So there are different objectives of each project. So Dholera is, again, they want to become an industrial city, industrial township. So उनके priorities थोड़े different होते हैं, so we cannot directly compare. So what your objectives are, and again, you want to align with the overall growth of the economy. So when we are talking about in today's session, as we said, that Nagpur, how can it contribute towards the $5 trillion economy? So we want to provide an environment, we want to provide such a city where people want to come and live and do their activities. Gift, while on the other hand, is simply focused on inviting all the financial institutions, have them set up shop there, and thereby promoting the growth. So it's difficult to actually compare.
Okay, I think with this.
Just to add, when we say Nagpur's contribution to the 5 trillion economy or something, see, we all know Nagpur is an old city and it's been doing a lot. But we have to see the journey of Nagpur actually only from last, as my co-panel said, last 8 to 10 years. Let me tell you, the contribution of Nagpur in the country in last 8 to 10 years has tripled. And the entire ecosystem is being created from where it can further grow. All the world-class institutes have only come in last 8 to 10 years. All the places, all the wealth creation, if you will actually see the direct tax collection of this city has gone up 4 times only in last 10 years. So this really shows that last 10 years only have given a CAGR compounding growth of very high rate into this city. Prior to that, you can call it a sleeping city, or you can call this city was actually expanding on its own deflationary space rather than inflationary pace also.
Fine.
Yeah, just to add, in fact, while we were sitting, he was showing me some data, and I'm using your data to just remind. The global report has said that Nagpur is the world's second fastest growing city till 2035. World's fastest growing city. So I think on that note, I am very confident that Nagpur is going to be a growth engine of India.
I think we have got one more question. Yeah, this will be the last question.
Not more so a question, but just a comment. Assuming we take examples like Chennai, like Mumbai, and cities which are on the coastline. Naturally, I think somewhere cities like Hyderabad, Nagpur stand a greater strategic advantage because they are in the center of the city, and also they can expand in terms of infrastructure. Building on roads and outer ring road, we call it in Hyderabad. We call it RRR, regional ring road in Hyderabad. We stand a strategic advantage to our side, cities like Nagpur, wherein we can leverage and get the world to a city like Nagpur, and then leverage on our strategic advantage. So that is what I wanted to just comment.
I think you are right, but for example, every city has its own advantage. For example, Hyderabad is crippling because they don't have a port. They are becoming a landlocked city. Or Bangalore, biggest challenge is they have to go to Chennai. Their Mangalore port is not satisfying their, is able to cope with their needs. So every city will have its own advantage, and therefore it will be poised differently for the growth driver. So how it drives the growth could be different for different cities. And therefore, more than comparing the cities, I would, if asked, will prefer to look at what are advantages Nagpur can offer, and can we build our entire development plan and the whole growth plan based on our advantages and what we ultimately want to achieve, as Prithviraj has said. Do we want to become a gift city? No. So what we want to be and what are our advantages? I think that should be the prime driver of any growth plan that we look at.
Similarly, as I can only say you, see what you are telling, as a company we are living. Nagpur contributes only 0.07% of our top line, but we exist in Nagpur. That's the hope we have for Nagpur, and I'm sure Nagpur will grow to one of the fastest cities. That I am actually looking, and I have looked at almost all the cities, and I can tell you the kind of ecosystem which Nagpur is developing is going to be unparalleled. This is my view.
Okay, so with this positive note, we will close this panel discussion. I would thank my co-panelists, Mr. Vaibhavji, Mr. Anandji, and Prithvirajji for their insights. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bhattacharya. Thank you so much.
Thank you for such a wonderful panel discussion. I believe through this discussion, we have re-established the strengths of Nagpur based on its geographical advantage and infrastructure built for sustainable development.